Hey everyone, Hindi here. I wanted to share with you some exciting news. So, we at Relationshift have organized the Your Relationshift channel into playlists. So far, we have 3 playlists, one for workshops, one for our regular podcast episodes, and one set aside just for interviews. That way, if you want some hands-on tools, you can head straight to the workshops. If you're looking for good conversations, the podcast episodes are all still there. And if you love hearing new voices and perspectives, the interviews have their own home too. This way, you can pick out exactly what you're in the mood for: tools, talks, or fresh voices. In this episode, I'll be sharing with you now. It was a final workshop that I did to finish off Chayale's latest dating course. So it's definitely a different style than our standard conversations. And I also think you'll like it. Even if you're not dating any longer, there's a lot there that I think is relevant to all women. So I will see you on the other side. Hi, everybody. Hindi Kalmenson here. Thank you so much for having me on. I love speaking about femininity and love speaking to people who are interested in learning and investing in their own growth. So if I understand correctly, you just finished an entire workshop with Chayale. So you're empowered, you have a lot of information, and hopefully with today, we'll kind of cement all that information and try to make it really super practical. Something I wanted to talk to you about today was how to glow from within and without. Literally, how to be someone who is receptive on the inside, receptive on the outside, be someone that people can tell are open. So I want to give you an example and walk through it with me. And let's see how this example maybe can be kind of like a microscopic view into the way that you interact with either other people or with guys on a date. So let's first imagine that you're traveling. Okay, you're traveling somewhere, get onto a plane. It's squishy. There's people in front of you. There's people behind you. You literally are struggling to pick up your suitcase because there's people pressed up against you. And then to pick up your heavy suitcase because you didn't check bags and put it on top in the required area. And you're struggling to pick up this luggage, and this man behind you says, "Hey, well, let me help you with that," and reaches to help you pick up your luggage. Okay, so let's just freeze for a moment. Just think about that example. Imagine yourself in that situation. What's coming up for you? How do you feel? And what is your response? So take a minute to just journal it, because I think it takes some inner inquiring as to, truthfully, how would you respond? And if anyone wants to respond here, you're more than welcome. Would love to hear your live answer. Okay, so here are some responses we've gotten in the past. The girl feels nervous, right? Or I'll talk about me. I would feel nervous, anxious, a little worried, scared. I could also feel like he's a little bit invading my space. A woman could feel angry. Her response could feel like she's weak, maybe a little bit. The fact that he is offering help makes her feel small. Defensive is a pretty common one. Irritable. She could feel positioning, right? So feeling like she's better than him, feel like he's weak. All of these are pretty common responses to something as simple as a man offering to help you pick up your luggage. Okay. So let's talk about all these. I know that you went through beliefs with Chayale extensively. However, I just want to kind of sweep through it because they come up in everyday language. They come up in our everyday lives. So it's important to talk about it again. Any of these responses are a defense mechanism, right? Somewhere throughout your life, you have developed a way to respond to a situation like this, whether it's a situation where you feel uncomfortable or it's a situation where you're interacting with a man, or it's a situation where you have to receive something from someone else, there has been a way that you have developed subconsciously that this is my typical response, because it's easier for you to have a typical response than to figure out how to respond every single time. So your body has basically developed this way of, this is how I respond to situations that feel uncomfortable or vulnerable or challenging, whatever that is. And why that happens is not really important, but to just give you maybe some insight, it could be, let's say, if you've watched movies where the man is, let's say, scary, masculine, in a way that he's overbearing and he's not respectful. So that could impact the way that you look at men in general, or the way that you interact with men. If a woman grew up with a father who is super, let's say, weak or emasculated, that could also impact the way you see men. Growing up with a mother who doesn't respect the father also impacts the way that you interact with men, or the way you perceive men. But there's also the way that you grew up and you feel about yourself. So I know for myself, definitely grew up with certain values like being strong and independent. And even if those are great values, sometimes they didn't serve me, let's say, in my relationship. So for me to grow up with this experience of like, I'm fine, I don't need anybody else, I'm super independent, that's a good thing. However, it could also not work so well if I'm trying to interact with other people, because when you're trying to interact with other people, there's a underlying belief that we share, right? I give, you give, there's a flow. So it could also translate into like, I'm so independent, I don't accept favors, or I'm so independent, I don't want to work collaboratively with anybody else. It could be another thing, right? So like, let's say also for me, I'll always speak in the first person because it helps people understand that this is just one example, as opposed to there's many different ways that people are going to react. So let's say for me, I'm a pretty reserved person. So when it comes to men, I'm also pretty shy. And I'm also naturally more introverted, which also makes me have more of a guarded look when I'm interacting with a man. So in that example, if a man would have asked me, hey, can I help you? My immediate reaction is, this is scary. A, because I'm introverted, and B, because I'm super shy and nervous about new things and new relationships. Not that it's a relationship if a man just offered to pick up my suitcase and put it up in the luggage compartment, but it feels like that. So that's why my reaction is that way. Okay, so whatever the reasoning is, it doesn't really matter. It's a coping mechanism. And that coping mechanism is stemming from a belief. And like we said before, those beliefs are usually just sentences. And it's important to look at them. It's not as important to look at why they have come up for you or where you have seen this in your life. It's more important to notice that this is a sentence that I live with on a day-to-day basis. And if it is, I have to work through those beliefs like you already learned with Chayale. So certain things like a belief like, I'm shy, I'm introverted, I'm not good at this, I don't need other people, I don't need other support, I'm an independent being, don't do me any favors, or let's say about the other. So let's say negative beliefs about men. Men are immature, men are impulsive, men don't have control over themselves. All of those are negative beliefs about men, which would make a woman feel uncomfortable or nervous around them because they're pretty negative. So they're pretty harsh when you say them, and they're pretty unyielding. I think that's the piece that's most important. When it's a belief, it means that it's almost like stamped. There's no way around it. You don't feel like there's any flexibility there. And if there's no flexibility, then there's nowhere to move. And it becomes, that's the way that you respond. That's the way that you believe, and that it's a truth. And it happens to be, of course, that it's not, right? So even though I'm a pretty, let's say, shy or reserved person, I sometimes could come out of myself and speak to now, right? Or it's true, maybe sometimes men in your life or you have seen in a movie didn't have control over themselves, but that doesn't mean that all men are like that. So it's really important to start looking at those beliefs and start like fingering them and prying them apart a little bit and seeing if there's a way to see past it. Why is this so important? Okay, because anytime you're interacting with the other, with another person, they could feel and see your energy. And even if it's not something that they could tell you in the moment, it's something that we are constantly looking at in other people to see if they are receptive towards us. And other people are looking towards us and seeing how we perceive them, how receptive we are towards them. There's an energetic ebb and flow. So I want to be increasing my femininity if I'm going on a date, because my femininity shows on me my receptivity. It shows on my openness. It shows on if I am able to interact with the other instead of blocking myself up and putting up walls. If I'm putting up walls, it immediately allows the other person to know that I don't feel safe around them, or I don't really want to hear what they have to say. There's a lack of trust. There's me trying to protect myself somehow. So working on my ability to be open towards the other is really important. And the things that are blocking that would be, let's say, a belief or a coping mechanism. Okay. So something that I'm sure you walked through with Chayale was, let's say, how to walk through your fears. So once I walk through my fear, then I'm able to like take down that wall and I'm that much more feminine. I'm that much more receptive. So here we get to the main point of this class. So what is femininity, right? Like, what does that look like? How could I be feminine on a date? What does it look like to unleash my feminine power, right? We invest so much effort into putting on the makeup, choosing the dress, making sure that we look good so that we will feel good. But then it could also be that our energy is not feminine. And then if my energy is not feminine, then as much as I look good and I feel good, it's still not receptive. So that's a really important thing to look at. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So 2 ways or energies that we could work on to help us feel and experience that femininity are the 2 energies of Hashem, or the 2 midas of Hashem, called Malchus and Hod. So I don't know how much you know about these 2 midas, or these 2 divine expressions, but let's do just a minute of 7 midas. There are really 10, but we're going to just talk about 2 out of the 10. 2 divine energies that God interacts with the world with. And these 2 divine energies are not just ways that God interacts with the world and with us on an everyday basis. It's not just the way that he literally creates the world at every single moment, but these 2 divine attributes he actually invested in us as well. So we have these divine attributes as well, and we act from them on an everyday basis, whether we're aware to it or not. So the ones that I want to talk about are Malchus and Hod. Let's start with Malchus. Okay, so what is Malchus? Malchus is kingship. Malchus is royalty. And the way we understand Malchus is it's kind of the attribute that has everything and nothing. So Malchus is the attribute that actually receives all the other attributes. They all kind of flow into one another, and their landing space is Malchus. And Malchus holds space for them, kind of like catches them all, includes all of them in it, and then releases all of them, births all of them into the physical world. And so Malchus has this ability to have all of them. And at the same time, it doesn't really have its own way of expression, its own way of expressing its attribute. Its attribute is majesty. So when you think about a queen, who is she? She is literally of the people, right? They put her into place. She is a representation of the people. So therefore she has this all experience. She has everything. And at the same time, there's the nothing, because without them, she would be nothing. So what does this queen look like? She's majestic. She has dignity. There's a sense of calm. There's a sense of wholeness about her. And I want to take that from like it being a divine attribute and make it really practical, right? So a woman who has malchus or is channeling her inner malchus, what does that look like? Imagine this vessel, right? That's receiving all the other attributes. She's not chipped. She's not broken. She's whole. She's beautiful in the fact that she's whole. And we're talking about, let's say, a woman who deeply sees her own essential value and she allows it to shine out of her. Her whole self knows it. It's not something she has to work on constantly. She's there. She's experiencing it. Now, that's obviously the ideal, but let's talk about that for a moment, right? How to make that practical? What does it look like to be truly living from your essential value so that you look like you're channeling your inner malchus? So let's say outside of the date, right? Outside of the situation when you're literally about to meet someone, and it doesn't only have to be a date. This could be in your interacting with the world. Give yourself the time and space to contemplate your essential value. Think about your soul. What does it mean that you have an neshama? What does it mean that there's a part of you, there's a dimension, an inner sphere where you are whole and worthy and not broken. Nothing can add on to you. Nothing can take away from you, right? There's nothing to detract from you. It's unblemished. It's pure. And that part of you is constantly seeing Hashem and is constantly experiencing the calm that witnessing Hashem evokes. And it's just this beautiful experience of wholeness. And even if you don't feel that on a constant basis, because you are very human and you also have an animal soul, even to give yourself, let's say, a few minutes a day to think about it, allows you to tap into that sphere of yourself that is truly you. It's not something remote or outside of you or something you can only connect to at certain highlights of your life. It's something that is constantly accessible. And it's always there, always you. So to give yourself that time and space to think about it is truly impactful. Why? Because the way that Hashem structured us is that we can actually draw energy from that sphere and bring it to our physical life, which I think is a really important thing to remember. That infinite part of you, right? That piece of God that breathes purpose into your world also is accessible, which means that at any moment when you feel, let's say, limited and you push yourself a little bit more, or you surprise yourself and you show up a little bit differently than the way you have always shown up, that means you've broken a limitation, which means that you've tapped into a part of yourself that was infinite. So why is that important? Because when I channel that part of myself, what I'm doing is I'm bringing that wholeness to all levels of myself. It's not just I'm at a deep place in myself. I feel whole, or I am essentially valuable. When I think about it, I'm allowing my mind, my heart, my whole being to connect with that idea. And a little bit of it kind of like glows from within, shines from me. And then I could channel that, or I could function from that space, as opposed to, right, let's say, functioning from the opposite, which is my brokenness, my limitation, where I know I'm not, the parts of myself that I know are lacking, right? That would be channeling or focusing or presenting from a broken space, as opposed to really seeing that part of you that's whole. Okay, so I know it sounds ethereal, but it really is very practical. I'll give you an example. So let's say for me, someone who struggles with, let's say, crowds or social events. So I can't say that I have like deep social anxiety, but I definitely have something. So before walking into a party or an event, I'll do this. I'll literally prepare myself, say like, I know that I'm walking into this event. I know that sometimes that's scary to that human part of myself. And at the same time, I want to remind myself that there's a part of me that's whole. There's a part of me that's worthy. Let me channel that. I take a deep breath, bring like that neshama aspect up to my consciousness, up to my awareness, and then walk in, right? Walk into the event with that neshama experience washing over me, that essential value experience carrying me. Okay. That's just practically a reset and something that you could do in the situation and then outside of the situation. Next would be, I don't know if you spoke about resources or internal resources, but to think about things that make you feel stronger and more supported. Now, this is not as maybe as holy, and this is more about something that builds your confidence, but still really important to do, to work within the human framework. So think about something about yourself that makes you feel good, makes you feel stronger. It could be, I don't know, I have a good voice, and that's something that I'm pretty confident about. Great. Start a list outside of a date, obviously. Start a list of things that make you feel stronger, more supported about yourself. When I ask women about this, it could be, I know one time a woman gave me the example that she paid her way through college without going into debt. She did it all on her own. What do you think about that? Makes her feel good, right? So something like that. Keep a list, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's something that makes you feel good, instead of you feeling your lack, you feeling where you're missing in life. Another example would be, I love the fact that I am a person who appreciates art, right? I'm not an artist, but I do appreciate art. Or let's say you have an artistic eye. Think about those things. Allow them to wash over you. Let that be the energy that's carrying you on a date. Okay. And the last is, let's say, I'd say affirmations. If affirmations are a way that help you, like talk to yourself positively, literally. Let yourself know that you are your own advocate, that you are your own hero. And if you can believe it, then allow yourself to say it and kind of try to rise to that statement. So imagine the negative beliefs you were talking about before. So here we're talking about positive beliefs about yourself that maybe aren't fully true yet, but the only real truth is Hashem. So why don't we take those positive statements and see if we could just kind of rise into them or work up to them and see if we could believe even a part of them. Just like we give so much credit to a negative belief, let's see if we could give a little bit of credit to a positive belief and help ourselves feel the experience of Malchus. Okay? So that was the energy of Malchus. I want to give you a minute to just see if you could write down a few points. See if, let's say, any of those 3 practical tips would work for you. See if you could implement them on a day-to-day basis, which one you like, which one you feel like you'll be able to do. So just go over them again. Contemplate on your essential value. Build your inner resources, parts of yourself that are incredible, and see if there are any affirmations, positive beliefs that you feel you could grow into. Chayale, did you want to do some acting this out? Like maybe we could do a little bit of an example for people?
Sure. Hey.
Yay. Okay, so let's even just work with Malchus, and I'm going to try to exemplify the Midah of Malchus. Hey, wait, I have to channel my blocked energy 1 second. to bring that up. Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Wow, I love your shaitel. It's stunning. So beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got a recent one. Thank you. Whatever. Yeah, I like yours. It's really pretty. So it's subtle, but I don't know if anyone can tell, but there's my face expression for me felt very blocked. How did you feel, Chayale?
It's annoying.
Yeah. You're just trying to give me a compliment. Like you're just trying to be really sweet. You're authentically sharing something. And this could happen on a date. A guy giving you a compliment and suddenly there's like a like a freeze, like it's scary, or excuse me, you can't talk to me about how I look. Like you're in no position to do that. Any response could be a response where you're putting up a wall, whether it's about you not feeling comfortable or feeling like he's out of line. But that would be, again, not that open, receptive energy that allows the people around you to know that you're comfortable and you're happy and you feel safe and you're willing to connect, which I think is the most important piece.
Hmm.
Should we try again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hindi, I love your shaitel. It's stunning.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that.
So much better.
I wish we could like put them up against each other, keep on playing them so you could see the difference. Like make it a meme. What?
So much better.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so the other one isn't veiled. It's not, I'm not blocked. I'm confident in myself that I know that I look good, let's say, right? So I feel comfortable with the shaitel, or I just feel comfortable inside of myself. I'm not nervous about what other people think. So that's really important. That essential value is already intact. And when I hear someone give me a compliment, it's not completing me. It's not detracting from me. I'm whole. And then her compliment is just so beautiful. It's so nice. And I'm not blocked because I'm feeling my wholeness instead of my lack. So it hits, it lands. I'm open to it. And I'm able to just graciously receive it.
You could also like recover in the moment. Sometimes compliments catch us off guard and we have a closed response. And you could say, even to the person, like, 1 second, let me do a retake. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you noticing.
Yeah. That's amazing to be able to just reset yourself in the moment to be able to be receptive again. And I think that as much courage I think that takes, I think the person would be really impressed to be able, right, to witness that, to see someone reset like that. Why? Because it's vulnerable. It's really vulnerable to like somewhat admit that you weren't right the first time or you didn't do that well. And vulnerability is definitely part of being open. That's what it means. When you're open, you are vulnerable. But that's a good thing. Not vulnerable in a bad way. This is vulnerability in a good way. It's where the wall is down. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that second character trait, that divine character trait, which is called height. Okay, so this other attribute that we're going to be talking about that is a godly attribute. And again, at the same time, it's a very human attribute. We were all given this attribute is the midah of height, or hod, as people say it without a Chabad accent. So what is height? Height is splendor and humility. And you'd think both of those English words don't really go together, but in this attribute, they make sense. Height is a very feminine attribute because it talks about the beauty of being feminine, literally. And what does that look like? It looks like a woman really being aligned with herself. Even when we talk in the realm of beauty from the secular world, a lot of times people will say that beauty is symmetry, right? So like both sides of your face, the more symmetrical you are, the more beautiful you are. Right? That is a concept. And in the spiritual realm as well, when you're feeling aligned with who you are, and you're not experiencing fragmentation, that is beauty. Kind of like the concept of Tiferes, when there's like a melding of opposites. Height is a little bit different, but that's where we see that feminine beauty. So what does that look like practically? So when a woman is comfortable, she's sitting in her essential value. She also knows what she wants. She knows what she desires. She's not afraid to express that she's happy. She's not afraid to express what she desires. So all of that is like very unblocked energy. that all comes from height. Now, what's important is height also has this dimension of humility. So it's not a woman asking for what she wants in a demanding way or in a way that she's saying like, I deserve this, or having expectation. There's a lot of there's humbleness in her request or in her desire, right? So quick example, right? So a guy says, hey, where do you want to go out? Do you want to go, let's say they're going out to eat. Do you want to go out to sushi? Or do you want to go out to, I don't know, this chicken place, this barbecue place? So when he's asking, he's not asking because he's indecisive. He's asking because, I'm sure you spoke about mashbiya makabel. He's asking because he is the mashbiya, as the giver. He wants to know how to give to make you happy. So the flip side of that is, being the feminine receiver, you need to also know what you want that will make you happy. So height is that midah of desire, of joy, and accessing the parts of ourselves that are able to express joy and happiness. Not that happiness and joy only come from things that we want or physical things, but desires are all under that umbrella category of height. So what I'm trying to say is sushi doesn't necessarily make you happy, but desires and fulfillment of those desires are all under the category of height. So if you decided and you said, I really want sushi, that's great, because some women are not even able to really access that part of themselves to even know what they want. So the first step would be literally practicing deciding on what you want. And some women are pretty indecisive. Some women know what they want, but just can't even express it. So all of that would be engaging with the midah of height. It's really important to know, what do I want? Ask myself, what do I want? Where do I want to go? What would I like to do? What would make me happy? And in a world where a lot of women feel like I have to service everybody else or take care of everybody else, I definitely know that when I was single, that was a huge part of my mind frame, because I was in, let's say, a job where I had to be of service all the time. I was on shlichus. I was making sure that I was going to be that person who's taking care of everyone else. I forgot myself too. Like, I did not take care of myself. So accessing height, speaking about what would make me happy, wouldn't have been something in my world. And it actually is really important because it's a huge part of being feminine. So I want to give you a minute. Just think for a moment, like, even just in this moment, what do I want? What makes me happy? What would make me feel good? And just give yourself a minute to think about it so you could access that midah of height and know what it feels like. Okay. So in thinking about what do I want or what would make me happy, right? We're talking about all dimensions of yourself, right? It could literally be, what do I want? I want to just go to sleep, right? Very human need, very human part of yourself. It could also be something so much greater, like, what do I want? I want a home filled with shalom bayis. I want a home where people feel comfortable, and I want a home where everybody feels safe, and or I want a home of learning. I want a Jewish home, right? So we're talking about all dimensions of yourself when you think about what do I want, and the answer to that question will be all under that realm of height, of desire, of what will make me joyful. And parts of that could feel like very human or physical, sometimes even materialistic joy. And some parts of that could be literally godly, spiritual joy. But all of that is you. And they're all dimensions of height. And it's really important to get attuned to that voice, because that voice will give, God willing, dimension and direction to your relationship. When you get married, and even in an interaction, like, let's say, for example, on a date, it will give direction to the mashbiya of where to go and where he's allowed to go, and where he can give to you, where he can be mashbiya on you. Okay? Now, let's just talk about the beauty aspect just for a moment, because I think it is really important. When you feel aligned, there's that inner glow that you experience. So, quick example. Me taking all the attributes of height ultimately equals to a really relaxed, glowing, happy person. So if I honor my desires, if I know what my desires are and I honor them, or I speak them out loud, or I even just think about them, I start smiling. There's like a gentleness, there's a relaxation, there's something fun about thinking about the things that I want. They don't have to happen. It's not me forcing them out of anybody, but there's just something nice about thinking about, let me give you some examples. So like, let's say if I stop to ask myself, what do I want? I'm thinking, I'd love to go on a hike today. I'd love to be in nature. I'd love to have a latte, and I'd love to have 30 minutes to just dive in and learn before my kids wake up. Feels so good to even just think about that, right? It's almost like a tingling, like a little glow, right? So what's happening? I'm just thinking about my desires. Beautiful. My guard is down. There's no walls because I'm just inside myself thinking about those desires. And if I express them to another person, which is pretty vulnerable to do, then I'm expressing a lot of trust. And I'm bringing that gentleness that I was having within myself and the joy that I was thinking about my desires brings to me, I'm bringing outside of myself. There's also a lot of humility that's happening here where there's no demand, there's no expectation, and I'm just humbly expressing my desire and what I would love. Again, it doesn't have to happen. So it's a very calm and gentle energy. And there's nothing more beautiful than someone who's humble and someone who's aligned. And when you express that energy, it's felt and it's very much seen by the other. We're going to go into that a little bit more, what that physically looks like. But let's go back to that luggage example and try to see if we could access the malchus and the height and see how she could, in that example, respond. Right? So if a woman is attuned to her malchus, her inner dignity, her wholeness, her essential value, and she's also attuned to her desires and her joy and the humility aspect as well. So when a man offers to pick up her luggage, she's not defensive. Like she's open, right? She doesn't feel like I'm independent. I have to take care of everything. I need to assert myself. Why do you think that I'm weaker, that I can't pick this up? Right? She's not defending herself towards this other person. She's humble. She knows that sometimes she can't do everything. She knows that she receives a lot from all different people all the time. She's not the one person in this world who can take care of themselves. She knows that we live in a community. She also is not afraid that other people might hurt her all the time because she knows that she's whole. She doesn't constantly function from her brokenness or her lack. So it's not like he has to break down a wall in order to just help her. She's already taken down a lot of those walls so that she's willing to let others give to her. She's willing to make space for others to give to her. She, let's say, working away from the examples where men, God forbid, are selfish, or they only think about themselves and what they need, or they always have some ulterior motive. She's worked through those beliefs and understands that there are men who are respectful. And I also respect myself in a way that others will respect me because I make sure that my space is respected by channeling my malchus and channeling my height. So I could trust that in this experience or this interaction, there aren't any ulterior motives, and this person is just trying to be mashpia because that's the way men are. They just want to give. I'll share with you a funny example. So this past Shabbos, I was in my shul and I was looking for something that I needed, and when you could see on somebody else's face that they need something. So I clearly needed something as I'm desperately walking around the shul looking for what I needed, and so this man sees me. And he was a guest. I didn't know who he was. And he just sees that I'm looking around, and he just comes over and he's like, is everything okay? Can I help you? And I said, oh, I'm looking for this and this. And he says, oh, I'm a guest here. I really don't know where anything is. But And he knew that, right? He knew he was a guest, but he sees a macabo, right? He sees someone who needs something, and he just like ran over to try to help, even though he probably is not able to help because he's a guest here and doesn't really know where anything is, but he still wanted to, right? He still was showing up with his masculine energy, which is so amazing, right? I can trust that there is no ulterior motive. He's not trying to be selfish in some way by offering his help. That's beautiful. I can respect that, and I know that he's respecting my space as well. I could also feel like if someone does me a favor, I don't owe anyone anything, right? I can trust that it's a kindness and there's no expectation from me, and I can receive that. Someone gave me a kindness, and that's really nice. And just allow that to sink in. It's not a transactional relationship. Just because someone gave me something, I don't have to give them something back, right? So like back to the example with Chayale giving me a compliment, you saw how immediately I responded with giving her a compliment back. That doesn't have to happen, right? A compliment or anything someone gives to you, it's supposed to be a gift. It's not supposed to be with the assumption that there will be a retroactive gift. What about if I am shy and introverted and nervous about relationships? Well, if I channel my inner malchus and my inner height, it's okay that I'm like that. That is my nature. And the more that I can accept that and not see that as a defect or not see that as a space of lack, and the more that I could just see that this is who I am, there's that humanness. And I also have a part of me that doesn't experience any lack or any fragmentation, and there's a part of me that's completely whole, and I want to bring a little bit of that to my human experience. So it's okay that I'm shy, and there's also a part of me that is not. And if I'm okay with my shyness, it's actually so cute, right? The fact that I'm okay with my vulnerability. So there's no wall up any longer, right? When I'm functioning from my brokenness or my lack, I put up a wall because I don't want anyone to see it. But if I'm okay with the way that I am, however I am, then I take down that wall and I'm just like, okay, this is me, right? This is me, my vulnerable, imperfect self. And I'm also channeling the part of myself that is whole, not perfect. It is perfect, but I'm not demanding that I am perfect. I'm saying, yeah, this is who I am. And at the same time, I know that I have energy accessible to me that is whole, that is godly, and I don't have to protect myself anymore. And that energy is so open and so receptive, and trusting. And I'm interacting with this person coming from a place of, I know you could see me, or at least you could see parts of me that are vulnerable, and I'm allowing you to see that. And it's okay. This is okay. It's not too vulnerable. It just is. So what does that practically look like? Okay. So just to get really practical here, when I'm sitting on a date and I'm trying to channel my inner height and my inner malchus, I make eye contact, right? I'm not averting my eyes because I'm nervous. I'm looking straight at that person, not in a weird way, but just an open way. I have gentle facial features. I know this sounds funny, but I'll give you a quick example. So like, let's say I love stretching, right? Yoga. And when you're in an intense stretch, sometimes a way to help yourself would be to bring a gentle smile to your lips. And it sounds so funny, but even if it's feeling really intense and you're literally expanding parts of yourself, right? Those muscles, if you smile, it allows your body to relax a little bit more because the muscles in your jawline impact the rest of your body. So if you smile, it gives your body the experience of we're okay because she's somewhat happy. So it really allows your entire body to relax. So when you are holding it together and you're holding your jaw rigid, your whole body becomes rigid. So a way to kind of relax yourself and open yourself up energetically would physically be to also open yourself up. So just relax your facial features. Allow them to be gentle. Allow them to be receptive. Gentle smile to your lips. It shows that you're open. You're not laughing nervously, right? You're not afraid. You're just channeling that inner calm. You have very open body language. So you're not crossing your arms defensively or your legs. You're not sitting in a way that makes you feel rigid. You're allowing your body to feel your inner dignity and your inner joy. And you're channeling your experience from that malchus and from that height. And the way that looks when you're interacting is you're open to, let's say, even listening, right? So deeply listening what he has to say, because you don't have to speak or you don't have to share. You could also hear what he has to say. It doesn't take away from you. And also when you do speak, you take yourself seriously. Whatever you're saying is important. Don't laugh it off. You're a queen. So what you're saying is queenly, and behave from that place, speak from that space, and to channel that energy of just like being gracious. I don't know if he'll compliment you on a date, but if he does, be gracious about it. If he wants to open up the door for you, don't laugh it off nervously or be uncomfortable about it. It's okay. He's trying to be a mashpia, and what you can do is focus on trying to be a makabo, your feminine energy. That feminine energy looks like malchus, that dignity, seeing your wholeness. If he wants to open up a door for me, I'll receive that. If he wants to open up the door for me, that can make me feel really good if I allow myself to. I'm not defensive about it or I'm not assertive about it. I could just receive that. That could feel really nice. It's so nice if someone does something for you. And the last word I kind of want to bring over here is like a willingness. When you're willing, it shows on you being open. You're trying to experiment. You're open to trying something new. That shows on a flow. That shows on an openness. And if you can do that, it means that your energy is receptive. So, of everything that we spoke about here, I guess I would summarize it to the two midas that we spoke about, malchus and height. The more that I could channel those energies, the more that I could work on my feminine receptive energy in general when I interact with others, and specifically when I am dating. And the more that I practice it, the more it will feel like it's really me. It's kind of like a be real until you feel real experience, where the more you experiment with it, you try it out. It's like putting on new clothes, just like you're getting dressed and you're dressing up for this date. Try on something new. Try on that midah, see what it's like, see how it feels, practice it on friends, practice it on neighbors, see what it's like. When I started practicing these midahs, I literally practiced it everywhere. So I brought it to Trader Joe's, and when the man said, "Can I pack your bags for you?" I said, "Yes, thank you." And like really tried to have that energy of, yes, height, thank you. That would make me so happy. It would be so nice to not pack my bags if someone else could pack my bags, right? Or someone holding open the door for me not to like run to catch up and say like, "Oh, thank you so much. You don't have to. Please don't take another second of your time by holding open the door for me," right? Instead, to walk slowly towards the door. "Thank you so much. I appreciate it." And take the door, right? It sounds like subtleties. It sounds like very small things, but it's really important because it's all about your energy. And if my energy is gracious, humble, joyful, dignified, then that's the energy I'm living with, and that's the energy I'm bringing to the people around me. And ultimately, I want them to know, and I want myself to know, that I'm safe and I'm receptive, and it feels good to be feminine.
Wow, Hindi. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
I'm
So
ready to go on a
fun to
date.
be here. What'd you say?
I said I'm ready to go on a date. I want someone to take me out.
Let's go.
You reminded me of one conversation that I had. A girl was complaining to me that the guy she was dating was trying to impress her. Like, oh, he like kept his head on to try and impress me. And I was like, that's amazing. That's so beautiful that he wants to impress you. Like, he cares. He cares to make a good impression on you. Receive that from him. Like, he's actually thinking of things that he can do to be impressive.
Yeah, I love that.
You reminded
And
me.
also, aren't we all like, don't we all want to put our best foot forward and always look good in front of other people? Like, that's a very human piece. Aren't you doing the same thing? Like, you spent an hour on your face and your wardrobe before you got here. It's the same thing. We're all trying to look good, and that's okay.
Thank you. This was great.
You're so welcome.
Thanks for sharing
Thanks for
with
having
us.
me.
Thanks for being here. We would love to hear your feedback, thoughts, and questions.
Please leave a comment below or email us at yourrelationship@gmail.com.
Looking forward to connecting with you.
See you next time.